Welcome back to Dos and Toss, Season 6, Episode 25. It is the end of Brody's time on the podcast, but we are back with Shosti, our favourite guest, our favourite fill-in, if you will. He's more than a fill-in. He's very good at what he does when he's on the show. Jacob, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. No, thanks for having me back, and obviously heard the sad news that the podcast will be finishing up at the end of the year, so glad to be getting another run before it's over.
It's a big finish, though. It's a big finish to the season.
Of course.
It's been a big day. It's been a real big day of footy news.
Twitter refreshes.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it started with me just refreshing for the Tom Sparrow news. Then it got into Bailey Humphrey. I was like, thought he was going to come to Melbourne, but I guess not.
That news got shut down.
Yeah.
Went off the cycle pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And our favourite, James Borlase.
James Borlase
Yes.
signed, yeah. So the
Yes.
chase for Borlase is over.
Chase for lace.
Very
And,
good.
Yeah, and then all of that just became pretty, well, not redundant. Shit there to be. Dean, I'm going to go to you first. Have you got one ready to fire?
I've got one. It's not particularly niche, but it's a shit day to be round 24. Now, the AFL introduced a wild card. They've seen what has happened in previous years where you had the Guts Up Cup, Fremantle versus Bulldogs, their own mini wild card last year. Winner goes into the 8, loser misses, and they've seen how big of a draw card that was, probably the views as well. And they manufactured their own wildcard games this year, and it just hasn't gone to plan. I think categorically you can say it hasn't worked. Now we're going to miss out on Carlton Collingwood likely, and with a handful of guys being rested in round 24, with the AFL neglecting round 24 in the judgment of All Australian, I just think it kind of like ruins the momentum in a sense. It's kind of...
Especially now that there's an extra week you've got to wait, before finals. It's now almost like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just like, I'm not looking forward to round 24. I feel like, we just want to skip past this. And now, I don't know. I didn't mind the week off. I'm keen to hear you guys' thoughts, but personally, I thought it was fine. I thought it meant that no one was being rested and that it's even. And I'm just not looking forward to round 24. And that should be where all the fixturing happens. But the wild card's set.
I think there's two probably different ways to look at it. Because the AFL is going to justify it from a financial perspective, and from that point of view, it's a win. And especially if they do get a Collingwood Carlton wild card, then I think they'll be very happy with what's happened, to be honest. But from a fairness perspective, firstly, 10th shouldn't be playing any sort of competitive football. Like the fact that if St Kilda beat Carlton, they wouldn't have beaten a single top 10 team, but be playing with a chance to win the premiership is just outrageous. And rewarding teams on home and away performance, I think, is crucial and, an integral part of the game. So from a fairness perspective, it's completely wrong. And then when you consider what it does to round 23 and 24, because like the fact that the Bulldogs season's wrapped up enough that Bontempelli's happy to rest, and you're just going to see it happen more than more. And as a Collingwood fan, I'll be disappointed if Dacos, Darcy Cameron, DeGoey, and all of our guys that have been, grinding it out since the bye and trying to secure our wildcard spot, like we have to rest them because now we don't have that week before finals to actually rejuvenate. So I'm with you. It's from a fairness perspective and from a fan's perspective, I think it's a complete stuff up by the AFL.
Yeah, I think it's just the way it's played out this year. I think it's just unlucky for the AFL that there's 4 Victorian teams in that wildcard slot. I don't think any of them can really move because Geelong will likely beat Richmond and Melbourne are favourites to beat the Dogs. We assume the Dogs will probably rest some players, or I'm not sure if Bont will come back in. But
I think Adelaide can drop back as well if they lose to GWS.
Yeah, okay. So that will mean they'll have an away game potentially. So yeah, there's small changes, but I think it's just unlucky. Like, what if the points were different, and what if St Kilda could make the wild card? It's just the way it's played out. If it was a top 8 and we had something like this, then we'd be saying, like last year when no teams could really jump, we're like, there's so many dead rubbers. And you look at the round that was just played, the St Kilda game would have been a dead rubber if we didn't have the wild card.
It felt like a dead rubber anyway.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, it's Richmond. The Giants game also would have been a dead rubber if
It's still both of those games were played like dead rubbers. They were both like almost unwatchable games.
But they weren't though. I mean, they were 1 point away from it mattering. If Carlton lose that game,
I know.
then they probably lose to Freo and St Kilda and the Giants both have a chance.
I agree with your view on it that the way the ladder has played out has actually made the wild card seem a lot worse than what it actually is from an entertainment perspective. I agree. The resting and the actual, the round 24 games, it could have played out in a different world. We could be saying this is the best thing ever, but from a fairness perspective, I'm still not a fan. And also what it has done to round 24 now, and this potential, because this is also a potential case as well, is quite bad as well.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mark on this season. Like the last few weeks of the season are usually exciting. Instead, we're literally I'm just I can't wait for finals and for real meaningful games to be played.
That might be length of season. That might be a length of season issue, to be honest, because I think there's been games of consequence all throughout the last few rounds, and it just happens to be that this round, which they scheduled in, when do they make the fixture? In February? Something like that. Like, how are they supposed to know where, Melbourne and the Dogs are going to be? How are they supposed to know where Adelaide and the Giants are going to be? And, some of the others, like Geelong, Richmond, is probably going to be you can predict that result, but it's just too hard to predict from February. And it's just unfortunate the way that the ladder's played out. It's unfortunate that Collingwood, the Dogs and Carlton and Geelong, they're all going to play at the MCG, that first final.
Yeah.
And in your fairness point, I think they might be preparing for a 20-team competition at some point. Like Tassie come in a couple of years. I agree.
In a 20-team competition, a 10-team finals bracket makes a lot more sense. It's more, and so why not wait? Because in an 18 competition, it's ridiculous. Even in a 19-team competition, it's got, obviously, percentage-wise, it's slightly more justifiable, but it's just it's just outrageous to me in an 18-team competition that the 10th team has a chance to play finals.
But they have to win 5 games to win the flag. It almost makes it impossible. I think it's just there to give those teams finals a chance at finals. I don't think any of those teams that finish 7 to 10 actually have a genuine chance of winning the premiership, and I think it rewards 5th and 6th place. They get to play a team that hasn't had a rest. They get the week off. And then you've got the top 4. So there's 3 ranks that you're playing for in the last round rather than 2.
If you look at who's going to come 7th this year, though, it's a team that probably deserves to be solidified in the finals. That's the reality.
Yeah, I agree. I think Adelaide
It would be a shame if any of those top 7 teams actually lost their spot in the finals because of the wild card. It would feel wrong.
Yeah, because it's likely that Adelaide will finish 10 points clear of their opponent. So I get that piece. I think it is a little bit unfortunate for that 7th and 8th place who would otherwise be playing an elimination final automatically. But
an 8th versus 9 game makes sense to me. That does make sense. It's just 7th versus 10th.
So you just have one wild card.
Well, I wouldn't have it at all, but I'm just saying that 8 versus 9 is at least rational.
Yeah, but if you play 8 versus 9 and the winner of that plays 5, then why does the 6 and 7 get the week off? So yeah, that's a big advantage for 5th. It's almost...
Sure. But 5th and 8th has a massive gap. That's what I'm saying. It's just, from a fairness perspective, 7th versus 10th, 7th and 6th are that close to each other, and 7th is going to have to play 10th. And, you could potentially get... If you think about a team like Carlton, who have, rallied on the second half of the year, I would not want to play them in a final. So, but why should 7th have to do that?
Yeah, you're right. Well, I'll go to my shit A to B, and it's just shit A to B Hawthorn.
Wow.
Not the worst A to B, and it's
a few other H's in my mind.
Yeah, so I've just written H on the run sheet. And what were your predictions?
I thought Harry's eye.
Yeah,
Harry's eye, Heaney. I don't know.
Yeah, well, obviously those ones speak for themselves, but it's not the worst day. But I just think it's not an ideal day to be Hawthorn because
hit me.
Dylan Moore is a big chance of kicking the ball 50 metres and putting Hawthorn into 3rd position, which would mean that they would likely play, obviously there's still another round to go, but they would likely play Sydney in the first qualifying final. Now, with everything going on with Sydney at the moment, you'd almost have Hawthorn as favourites for that game. Almost. They beat Sydney in that final, who were vulnerable. They play a home prelim final. Now, it is likely that Hawthorn will play Freo in the first qualifying final.
We know they don't like Wharfie time either.
And you don't like Wharfie time. And
just because we practiced at training.
And I just think you will be... I expect Freo to win that game. Let's just say. I think they'll win convincingly. And then it's never good to lose that qualifying final, and the straight sets is looming. You would play the winner of Melbourne versus Collingwood and the Dogs, let's say. So you've got potentially a Melbourne side who 11-1 at the G, potentially 12-1 after next week, would be 13-1 by the time they would play Hawthorn. Or you play a Collingwood who's won 2 wild cards in a row. So it's a tough ask for Hawthorn.
3 draws in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you. I think every Hawthorn would agree with you. It was a shocking loss.
Draw.
Shocking draw. Yeah, shocking loss of third position. Because before this whole Sydney saga, I was quietly confident that we could beat them. I think they're much gettable than Freo are, and
There's
even
a big gap
Brisbane.
between
I
1
think
and
Freo
2.
and Brisbane are by far the clear 2, and I thought we could beat Sydney, but we're really not clicking at the moment. Like you'd almost say like we don't deserve it, and just the game against Collingwood, we just couldn't. It was a game of momentum, but we just didn't look like our old selves. Ginnivan and McDonald haven't looked like themselves the past 5 weeks. We've lost that mid to forward line connection. The back line's been in a bit of all sorts. I would have said Barras was a lock for All Australia in the first half of the year. He's had a couple shocking weeks, really. Battle and Impey have been great, but Sicily looked slow. Weddle, we just can't find where to play him. And yeah, we don't look like ourselves. Amon's definitely injured. We've been playing a different debutant every week and then dropping them when they've played well, which is
the rotation of the last 3 or 4 players in the team, and 2 rucks or not 2 rucks, and there's a lot of interesting selection questions there with how they go about those last 2 spots. But it is such a well-rounded side, and I was honestly, before that Brisbane game, I was expecting like this is where Hawthorn set up their September, and I was pretty taken aback by that game. And then obviously we really took it to you, and I'm quite a realistic Collingwood fan. I think we're okay. I don't think we're a team that you should be having any troubles with, to be honest. So it's you know what? It's probably better to get that wake-up call before finals. And,
I just thought the wake-up call was the week before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not someone who's there were a lot of Hawthorn fans after that Brisbane game who fully pessimistic and whatnot, and I feel like I'm pretty level-headed, but the 2... I keep calling it a loss, but not winning for 2 weeks in a row is pretty worrying, especially when we had the Richmond, North, Essendon trio before Brisbane. I don't think that set us up well at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, that game, were you there?
I wasn't. I was watching, but I had a birthday.
I had the sit directly behind Moore, level 3, and perfect angle. I could tell it wasn't going to go through, but you just thought someone would punch it through. And then when I found out that it was swaddling...
But if a Hawthorn player punches it through, it actually doesn't register as a score.
Yeah.
So if they intentionally punch it through, you don't get the point. So it wouldn't have actually mattered.
I know, but just the fact that it was swaddling, he had an outstanding game. I'm sure you could
I'm very
touch on him,
Sam Swaddling.
Genuinely, once again, we took an Israeli mate for the first time to the game. And... yeah, it was his first time learning about the game, and we worded him up about number 35 for Collingwood being the best player and whatnot. But he's like, the number 32, doing really well. And I spotted it as well. I think he genuinely, I think he could be beyond for a Brownlow vote that game. He
moves incredibly
well. Kicks really well.
I was saying to my brother and my dad that I think Steele has to give him the 22. Sam Swaddling, Steele side bottom.
Nice.
You got a 2-sided player as well that can kick really well with both feet.
The double S.
The double S. The initials are the same, and I think also the positions. I mean, he's started as a wing. I think he's more of a natural halfback to begin with, and hopefully eventually a non-baller. But he's got, and they've been talking about him all year. Collingwood fans have been crying for them to put him. Crying for them to put him in the side, and I guess you can see why, because he's just extremely classy. And we obviously, as I came on earlier in the year, I was talking about how poor our drafting had been from that, whether it's, I think it's 2014 to about 22, 23, but at least we're starting to see, I mean, Will Hayes looked really good as well. Sam Swabling,
that goal.
Charlie West, and so that's
Ed
really
Allen.
exciting. And Ed Allen as well. That's the other one who's really, changed the way that everyone looks at him. He's a completely different player. So at least from a Collingwood fan perspective, it was a really promising night, and we've been awful against top 8 teams this season. And since that Adelaide win, which was really encouraging, obviously the Geelong loss was no good, but to take it to Hawthorn, there's at least a lot more hope going into September. So I'm excited to see what we do.
Dean, you mentioned the All-Australian team. We'll get to that soon. Dean and I have crafted our All-Australian teams. Now, Shosti, you can have your say as well, and we'll try to put a collective team together.
I've still got a shit day to be.
Yes, I was going to get to that.
Okay.
What did you say to be?
Sorry. Okay. No, my shit day to be. I had two. I'll go quickly because we have gone quite long.
No rush.
The first one was Jamie Graham with the news that Josh Fraser will be taking over as coach, who has deserved it, but I think had they picked a different interim coach, I think Graham would have been a standout candidate, and he has been. I think he was really well respected at West Coast, and then now at Fremantle, clearly doing a great job. And I mean, he might end up with a premiership as an assistant coach anyway. But then also, I think the Essendon job. It looks like it'll be James Hird or maybe McVeigh, but I doubt they're going to give it to Graham as well. So he's probably been a bit unlucky in a coaching cycle where he hasn't really had the jobs that were necessarily actually open to the right assistant coach candidates. So that's a shame for him. And my other one, since I doubt we're going to touch on the St Kilda Richmond disgrace of a game, but St Kilda fans, you were officially eliminated from finals this week after another really disappointing season. You've obviously, for some reason, got Ross Lyon extended to 2028. So I guess you're going to have to... I think it's 28. You're going to have to stick it out. So feel sorry for you. They went and spent all your money on some C to B grade players, and I guess that you keep defending your fan base and having to watch, dead rubber games against Richmond in round 23. So it's a very shit day to be a St Kilda fan, as it has been for 15 years.
Yeah. 15. When was their last flag? 1964.
No, but they had a respectable side. The back-to-back grand finals, 09, 2010. They were, they're one of the better teams to probably not win a grand final.
Definitely.
But at the end of the day, since then it's just been all promises, excuses, and then complaints. So it's another year of the same cycle for St Kilda.
Just before
failure.
Just before you go back, I wanted to double check, but Ed Allen's dad played 98 games for Hawthorn, so 2 games off the father-son.
Wow. He was also the first Fremantle captain, I'm pretty sure.
Ben Allen.
Yeah.
Maybe he was.
I'm pretty sure he was.
Checks out, but
I'm
big on getting the players to 100. I'm very worried about Jago O'Meara's potential son. 99 games for Hawthorn. Nice tone about him. Looks like he'd have good genes. Maybe not good knees, but...
There's a player who's on 99 games that I think is actually going to get... I think it's Dougal Howard, actually, for St Kilda.
Really?
He's on 99 games, probably not going to get offered a contract.
But at St Kilda or collectively?
At St Kilda. At St Kilda. Look to see if he gets a game this week.
Just give it to him.
I'm pretty sure...
May as well.
Let me fact check that, but we can move on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad for St Kilda. Not when they give away their captain for a bag of chips and then go and get Flanders.
And then claim your midfield's too young and inexperienced as well, and use those excuses as well. And then also spend all the money that you can't go for Lachie Neale this offseason, who would be the perfect guy to round out your team as well.
Yeah, and the Tom de Koning conversation is getting a little bit boring, but I'll reiterate, it was just a horrible decision to
and it was
spend
so
that money.
obvious.
It was so obvious.
Yeah,
because now you've got actual real talent like that in the trade period this year, with Lachie Neale, with a Ben King, who maybe you could have
Zach Bailey.
Zach Bailey, Zach Butters.
Yeah.
Imagine if they could have gone for Zach Butters this year. You got Matt Rao next year, who will be a free agent. So there's so much talent that's there that you could have spent that 1.7 mil and just let Rowan Marshall play out until he's in his 30s.
You don't have to spend your money like that. Also, it meant that Cal Wilkie needed a raise and decided to argue, and potentially look elsewhere. You had Nazaya had to get $2 million because everyone knew that Tom de Koning was getting 1.7. And there were so many, and then every contract they sign now, even you look at Darcy Wilson re-signing it, and Mateus Philippou's now at $1 million. Everyone's and this is what I actually remember when I came on with Aiden last year. I was saying to him that everyone puts their money up next to his. How can you be a St Kilda player re-signing and not compare yourself to that ridiculous contract? It's just, and Flanders is going to be the other one at $900,000. They're going to be saying the same thing. So it's, and that's why I love the Brisbane approach with Zach Bailey, where he wants to stay, but they're just slowly moving his money up because they don't want to break their culture and their standards by paying one player significantly more than the rest. And when you watch Brisbane, even though Ashcroft's a standout player at the moment, and Andrews has been the best player for the last 10 years, Neil's won 2 Brownlows, but it's never one player that you really look at and target. There's always, on any given day, it's 5 or 6 star players that are showing up and showing out. And that's, I guess, the team model that you need. And you look at dynasties like Brisbane, Hawthorn, Geelong, and that's how they, their salary caps worked as well.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah, I know there's lots to touch on, but I stand by. I think last year everything was centred around Naz, and I just think the thought of losing Naz, what it would have done to that fan base, especially after the Melbourne goal, the goal against Melbourne, I think they made every decision with, this is what will keep him here.
Agree.
And we need to do everything we can to show him that this is why you're going to stay. And I think the pressure's on next year. I think this year was essentially, not a gap year, but I didn't expect much. I didn't expect them to make the 10.
How do you not expect much when you spend that much money in your off-season to
because
say that
I think
we're ready to go?
win now trades take a bit of time. I think it takes a bit of time to get the group to gel together. And I think it's next year. That will be the year because the whole Naz drama is going to start from round 1, 2027.
All they did was delay the drama with a 2-year deal, and rather than actually building something that you can see turning into premierships, they've tried to, just can we keep Naz for even longer? Like, if Nazaya leaves for 2 first-round picks and a talented player, it sucks, but it's better than, having one player effectively determine the fortune of your club. So I'm not, I agree that's why they did it, and I think it's a really silly approach, to be honest. I don't think you can be a club that's so reliant on one player. Even when Nazai had his hamstring against Carlton, it was like they just put up the white flag and forfeited at quarter time because they knew, we don't have him, we're no chance. So I don't like that approach either, to be honest.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, we talk about their salary cap and whatnot. There were rumours about Wilkie, Wilson and Windhager, yet all of them have re-signed, and they added those 5 guys last season. So it's tough being like someone on the couch having a look because they've managed to fit them all in, yet the wins haven't come. So I think the pressure's on next year.
Can't bring anyone else in as well. So, I mean, the pressure should have been on. Honestly, I don't think the pressure's been hot enough. Only now are people really starting to question. The Konings had the pressure all season, but I think the actual entire club and the people that are actually making the decisions also deserve quite a bit of pressure as well.
Yeah, I mean, De Koning, you can't really attack him. Like,
no,
obviously
not at
he's
all.
Gonna accept that money.
Not at all.
It's on the recruiting team. It's on the list manager.
Yep.
Potentially on Ross Lyon as well. I wonder, like, what would Max Hall be on? Like, he's in his second year. He's the mid-season draft.
He's the bargain guy probably because those sort of rookie deals, I reckon, would be balancing it out. And that's the other, like, they're the sort of guys that you should be finding, Yeah. And the reality with the rucks as well is, like, you look at every successful team. I mean, you're a Melbourne fan, so you're the exception, but they never spend too much money on a ruckman. And if you're going to, I guess it should be the greatest ruckman of all time. So
yeah, and I don't think we've paid Max Horn that much anyway.
No way.
He would have never paid him over $1 million.
No, he would have never been in the top 25 paid players in the AFL, and Tom De Koning's in the top 5. So it's it's a shit day to be a St Kilda fan as per usual. And also, Dougal Howard is on 99 games. So.
There you go. Got to play him.
Play him.
Got to play him. You never know. He's a big man as well.
They don't have many father-sons.
They don't.
No, and they complain about it too. Yeah. So if you prove that you care about it and maybe give yourself a chance to get one.
So Josh Fraser was appointed as coach. As you said, Jamie Graham's missed out. Now, Carlton will probably finish 9th or 10th. Does the top 10, I know we're going back to the wild card, but does it give them a bit of a false sense of success? I mean, what would happen if it was a top 8 and Carlton fall into 9th or 10th? Do you reckon we're still sitting here? I know they've obviously had a good record since he's been the coach, but are we still sitting here praising Josh Fraser and, would he be a certainty to get the coaching gig?
I'd say yes in the case of Fraser, but I'll give you the other angle. So Fraser definitely, because you can't really blame him for, the record that he started with. Like, they've literally lost 2 games, and he's coached incredibly well. But I think Beveridge would be under a lot more pressure if it was a top 8. And I think he'd probably deserve to be as well, because the reality is, Bulldogs not making the 8 with that list and, all the expectations coming into this year and the way they started the year, I think they're probably the ones that are getting a false sense of, a great season.
True.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be a certainty to be coach.
Yeah.
If they didn't make the 8 and that was the traditional final structure. But Shosti, last time you were on the pod, Carlton, we were in a completely different space. It was the start of April. Harry had just kicked the winner. And this is what you had to say.
I know that all Carlton fans are extremely pessimistic at the moment, and I can understand why. But I actually think their outlook's really not as bad as it seems. And I think I know, Chase, you're a Melbourne fan, and you can sort of see what a new coach and an exciting game style can do. And sort of when you move out with a bit of the old and bring in some of the new, they've got Dean, Jagger Smith, and some young players that are a bit untried that I think they're going to get to unearth this year. They bring in Cody Walker, and then I still think their core, I feel like they're so disconnected and disheartened, but with a new game style, a new sort of lease on life, it almost reminds me a bit of Collingwood 2021. We sacked Nathan Buckley. We brought in Craig McRae. Our list was still...
Now I'm going to pause it there, but go back and listen. It's very fascinating. You got bagged, apparently, on Instagram.
Yeah, no, there were some pretty harsh comments.
There you go. Give him some flowers.
No,
Yeah,
that's credit to you. We don't look at receipts enough and hold people accountable, but that was a great call. I wasn't on that podcast. I remember, I think I was going for a run on the Gold Coast listening to it, and I'm like, I'm not sure about that. I think Carlton are old. I think they should trade Cripps, and you're on your own there. You're not on an island, and
Cripps,
you were spot on.
Walsh, all of those players, I think, have proven me right. And then also the untried players. You look at someone like Billy Wilson. I think I actually mentioned him if you listen to it.
Did you really?
I might have mentioned him, or I might have mentioned him in response to a comment as well. So I definitely was onto Billy Wilson. I also mentioned Jack Ison, who's not playing anymore. But then also you look at Taylor Byrne as well as another one that's proven to be, a really solid player. So it's, I guess I'm happy with that call. And also, now I wouldn't want to be because Fraser's ruined it. He's doing an amazing job. And I also loved, I don't know if you guys agree, but the way that they locked down for a draw, like just qualify, take the draw and go home.
Yeah, it was mature. But now they're likely to play Adelaide if they don't beat Freo.
But I think
they'd rather play Collingwood at home.
Just be there. Just be in the 8. Like, I don't think
losing in a wild card is a win in their eyes.
Well, I think
for the season,
you shouldn't be worried about who you're playing. I think just being there is much more important, especially for Carlton fans who, when I was making those comments, would have been thinking our season's over, we're awful and we're wasting another year of these players. At least giving them a chance to play. Just take the draw. I think it's a strategic approach, and it's a long-term one, because the reality is then you come into this week with all kinds of pressure on you as well. I think it just releases that a lot, which I think is a great thing for Carlton, and I thought that was the right approach.
When there was 25 seconds to go and they had a mark on the wing, I think it may have been...
I know.
They had a free kick, I think it was Mackay.
I was thinking that, but also the players don't know that.
They don't.
They see a 30 sign and it could be 40 and it could be 20. So I agree, but if your mindset is to draw, then whoever, I guess follow through on it. Obviously, if they had a live clock on the screen, that it would be a different story then.
Yeah.
I wonder as a player how often you're looking to those signs, because Hawthorn Collingwood obviously was a very close game at the end, and I'm not that type of person to refresh the AFL app. I just want to watch it.
Really?
And everyone around me is refreshing it. I had the Hawks insiders in the row in front of me actually. And I was thinking, as a player, that's very distracting to turn around with your head and look for a sign that says 30 or 60. Traditionally in the AFL, we don't have a countdown clock on the big screen, which would be super easy to glance up and look. When the heat of the game's on, do you think the players know?
So
do you think they're looking?
I feel like they'd be telling each other more than they'd be looking at the message, or maybe one guy's looking at the message and telling. I think they'd be communicating it across.
It's hard. Like, the voice is the first thing to go when you're tired, fatigued, end of the quarter. Like, to tell your teammates. I don't know. It's an interesting one, and obviously, teams like Collingwood would have a lot of experience in those late game scenarios. But
should have asked Harry last week. I think
Yeah.
he could have given you an answer.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
A better answer than us.
yeah, at least he wasn't on the pod this week.
Yeah, that was Thankfully, we got him on the week before.
Do you think he would have let you put the video out?
I don't know. I don't think he would have come on. To be fair,
Nah, he's getting surgery.
No, of course.
Yeah, it's
tomorrow,
That was
so
pretty serious.
It was a rough injury.
Thoughts are with him, and
Absolutely.
sorry that we couldn't make the post Doss and Toss Harry effect happen. Obviously, last
Yeah.
year, 54 touches.
It looked like it was happening after
Oh,
the
he
first
was
quarter.
so on. 3 goal assists in 1.5 quarters.
and a goal himself as well. And
Of
they were,
course.
that was like, it was. I listened to the podcast last week, and when he says like it also makes it frustrating when we can't play like that for 4 quarters. That's sort of the takeaway from that game, where it's like that first quarter was like as good footy as you'll see any team play, and to do that.
How
to
good did
Geelong-
Simpkin look?
Oh,
in the middle.
He had a decent season, Simpkin.
yeah,
He
he
is.
has.
Yeah.
He has, and like they looked, like they looked like Freo or the handball Swans, like that. They looked like a top 2 side, and then
Yeah.
they just drop off very quickly.
Do you think they win if Harry stays on?
Maybe.
It's hard to know.
I think.
Yeah,
I don't
think
know.
it's
We're obviously
very
biased,
possible.
but I think he was on for one of his best ever games. And
Yeah.
that's saying something. So disappointed for him to again.
He was having a real impact in that first
Yeah.
half. He was, a problem.
Yeah, it sucks. I think they would have won. I just reckon they were due for that game, but I think just without Harry, they kind of just missed a bit of something in the middle and leadership. Like, they got pretty close in the end.
Yep.
But like Ollie Dempsey, that mark, it's like as soon as the ball like goes in the air and Ollie Dempsey's by himself, you just know
It's
he's
always a
gonna get that mark.
mismatch on a wingman as
Yeah.
well. Like it's
Yeah.
there's very few teams that actually have the right guy to go with him. I remember Collingwood tried Quainer on him, and it didn't look great. Like it really takes a certain type. I mean, Jai Sarong's the main one I can think of that would work.
Dan
There's not many-
Curtin,
Yeah.
Weddle if he's there.
Harvey Langford.
Yep.
Does
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah,
That's
Langford's
true.
good.
Yeah. I mean, those style wingers are really like revolutionising that position, and it's
It's
pretty awesome as well, because like the way you would have pictured your wingers, for the first 20 years of myself watching footy would be just your 180 centimetre time trial winning guy that can just sort of hack it forward and just somehow doesn't stop running from contest to contest like an Ed Langdon style operator. That's how I've always seen it. So it's a good point of difference.
There's a lot of different wingers. I mean,
Now
we just mentioned them. There's your Massimo D'Ambrosio, who's one of the better kicks in the competition.
Yep.
Very underrated pair of hands.
Yeah, and a
Massimo.
good mark too. So yeah, you've got the Ollie Dempsey, the Harvey Langford, Dan Curtin, Ethan Reed, if you will, has played on the wing a little bit. He's massive. Then you've got your
Mark
sheepdogs.
Blitzarves is probably the first I can remember to do that. So it's Geelong that seem to clearly keep figuring things out with the wing, and it's great.
Yeah, it's an interesting position, and I wonder where they'll go with the All Australian team if Ollie Dempsey is to make it. Dean, we'll get to our teams, and
Yeah.
I guess I can read out mine, and you can read out yours
Sure.
if you want. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, and then is Shosti or the collective going to
Yeah,
decide
we can debate on the differences.
I'm happy to
Sure.
provide a live
So
judgment.
we'll do line by line. So I'll do the back six. My back six. I've got Alir, Harris Andrews, Cal Wilkie, Lockie Ash, Jarman Impey, and Isaiah Wanganima-Lira.
I've got Wayne Miller, Alira Lear, Blake Hardwick, Jarman Impey, Cal Wilkie, and Lockie Whitfield.
So you've got Hardwick, Whitfield, and Millera. I've got Ash, Andrews. Do you have Naz?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm surprised you both have Alir and Naz, because I actually don't think I would have either of those players in my All-Australian team.
Interesting. I picked Alir. He's first for intercept marks with 70. Next best is 60.
Yep.
I think he's had a very good season in a poor side as well.
Yeah.
Like, not easy to be a defender in a
No, I
in a
agree.
side that's
I
losing.
think he's like on the fringe there for me, to be honest, because I think Alex Pearce is a lock. Who did you both leave out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's so I would have Pearce, Andrews, and Wilkie as my three. I can see Wilkie and Alir being somewhat interchangeable, and then on the Nazaya one, I mean, obviously the games he played, he was great, but he literally only played 16 full games, I think. And out of 23, that's not enough for me, especially for a team that couldn't even make the wild card. And the other thing is as well, I think it's because those recent games were so dominant and memorable that's why it's easy to put him in. But if you look at how he started the season, based on his standards, I don't think he was exceptional. So
it's hard. It's one of those like based on his standards, as you say. But if you compare like an average NAS game to a normal AFL player's game,
I know, but the way they play as well is the ball's in his hands the whole game, and they rely on him a lot. And I don't know. I don't think they've performed well enough as a team, and I don't think his 16 out of 23 games can justify an All-Australian selection. I think that there's all those other halfbacks that were mentioned have probably done, and I would have Nick Blakey in mine, pending. I think he's a. I think he's a lock, to be honest. So I would have him comfortably ahead of Nasiah.
I don't know. I've seen when Sydney lose, Nick Blakey doesn't do much.
But
I guess that says the barometer.
They also don't lose very often. So
yeah, I just reckon he's had some games where he's let them down, where he hasn't really been the difference, to be honest. So
that's fair enough.
Look, it's small margins. It's the backline's always the hardest part. There's always players that make it that
also,
you're like, I'm
did
not
anyone?
sure.
Who had Jordan Clark or no one did?
No Jordan Clark.
I didn't know him.
There you go. So yeah, I
Would
would.
you have him?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I thought he's been quiet this year. I mean, different game style from Freo. They don't
Correct.
play as much chip mark, and I actually think Heath Chapman and Carl Warner have had really good seasons. They're two really
Brennan
underrated
Cox
players.
as well.
Brennan Cox.
I think Clark's one of those players that. So he had his All-Australian year last year, which is why it's a bit easier to look at the stats and think that he's regressed a bit. But from a defensive standpoint, I think he's as solid as really any back pocket, and he intercepts, he rebounds, he's kind of the perfect, well-rounded back pocket. So obviously Fremantle don't play that game style that they used to, so the stats don't necessarily stack up. But I think his actual impact stayed the exact same, and to contribute to a team like that, I don't know. Pierce, Clark, and Blakey would all be in mine.
Yeah. Well, so we've all disagreed on those defenders, but quickly, if we're going from Dean and I's, Ash or Whitfield, who you choose there?
Oh, Ash.
And would you not have either of them in?
I'd need to go through and do my own team. I'd potentially have Ash or Whitfield. To be honest, I don't think he's done enough at all this season.
Okay, we'll get to the midfield. So we'll do our centre line and then also our followers. Unfortunately, I haven't got any wingers. I've just gone Jordan Dawson, Nick Dacos, Bailey Smith, and then the followers are Max Gawn, Marcus Bontempelli, and Will Ashcroft.
I've gone Ollie Dempsey, Marcus Bontempelli, Bailey Smith, Max Gawn, Nick Dacos, Jordan Dawson.
So who's the on-ball?
The difference is Ashcroft and Dempsey.
Yes.
In those six.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's hard
Dempsey,
because...
or are you picking another winger?
So I'm picking Dempsey, definitely, and I'm picking probably Bailey Smith, but then having Dawson on my interchange or Ashcroft on my interchange.
So, Dean, did you have Ashcroft in your team?
No.
Any reason? Like, I think he's had a very good year.
Yeah,
probably the stiffest to not get in out of my honourable mentions.
So I think he's top 10 in the coaches' votes, and you'll notice if my team reflects the coaches' votes a lot. Although I don't have Zach Butters in there because I don't think he played enough games.
Well, he's going to have played the same amount of games as
Is it really?
I think so.
There you go. Well, that's interesting. Kind of contradicts. And Dean, I believe you've got him in there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think Will Ashcroft has been super underrated, especially the back half of the season. I think he's had how many consecutive games over 30 touches?
I think he's a lock, to be honest, especially with the way Brisbane are now finishing up their year too. They're going to deserve a lot of representation as per usual, and I think he's definitely deserving.
Yeah, and I think Dempsey's probably been the best winger, but I don't know. I don't feel good about leaving out some of these midfielders for Ollie Dempsey.
Which midfielders do you think you're leaving out?
Well, I've got a lot on the bench as well, which I'll get to.
Yeah,
but
I think you can fit them all in on the bench and get Dempsey in.
It's hard. I feel like I'm leaving a few out because of the Dempsey inclusion.
I don't think Dempsey deserves a spot more than the rest of the guys on the team. I know, it'd be nice to pick specialist wingers, but for me, it's only really Errol Gould and Josh Dacos those seasons where they picked that winger because I don't want to leave out anyone else.
Okay.
But we'll go to our half forward line. So I've got Zach Bailey, Josh Tracy, Cozzy Pickett, and then Nick Watson, Jack Gunston, and Charlie Kerner.
I've gone Zach Bailey, Josh Tracy, Isaac Heaney, Nick Watson, Jack Gunston, Cozzy Pickett.
So pretty similar.
The only question is with Gunston and games played, but I agree on performance. He's everyone that you guys just mentioned there are all very deserving. Who was the different?
So Kerno, I had Kerno, and Dean had Heaney, which I've got Heaney on my bench.
Okay.
Should we go to the bench to then discuss holistically?
Yeah, sure. So my final 5 is Cripps, John Newcomb, Luke Jackson, Isaac Heaney, and Jason Horne-Francis.
And mine is Harry Sheasel, Zach Butters, Naz, Luke Jackson, and Chad Warner.
Yeah. So I've got Heaney, you've got Warner. I thought about Warner, but I just think Heaney's been more consistent.
I've got Heaney in my forward line.
Yeah, fair. So I guess the difference is I've got Cripps, Horne-Francis, Newcomb as well.
Yeah, whereas I've got Harry, Butters, Dempsey.
Yeah.
Would you Horne-Francis and Newcomb over Harry?
So Horne-Francis is 5th in the coaches' votes.
I know.
Harry had that game against Hawthorn where...
Also, 2 Port Adelaide players when they're a bottom 5 teams. I don't like
We
when
had
they
2
do
last
that
year who were
personally.
bottom 5 as well. We had Gorn and Pickett.
Yeah, but I think they were standouts as well. I don't think Horne-Francis and Alira are necessarily standouts. I think there'd be a lot of people that don't have either in their teams.
Yeah, but you look at Port Adelaide, like they haven't had Rosie the whole year, and then without Butters, Horne-Francis has been really good. Like obviously they're still going to lose with that team. But
I know. No, it's fair. Yeah, because you got to. It's like where do you draw the line with team success and also individual performance, and especially with a team like Port Adelaide, like these guys were not letting the team down. They obviously were very undermanned.
What about Cripps and Newcomb? Do you think they
Cripps
deserve
has
to
a
be in?
strong case. Newcomb,
Is he Newcomb first for clearances? Dean?
yeah.
I think Newcomb and Ashcroft were the stiffest to not get selected in my team. I would have loved to find a space, maybe if I moved Naz to the half-back line, but didn't know how it felt like that. But
happy
Newcomb's
with Jackson and Gorn as well.
I think Jackson and Gorn both have to be in there. I think
Chad
that's
Warner. Did you have Warner?
I think
Nah.
Warner, I would prefer to give Warner over Horne-Francis, to be honest.
I think Warner's first half of the year was pretty quiet. He was pretty down, and he's had a really big second half of the year. But
Massive.
it's across the whole season.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And you didn't have Blake Hardwick.
I didn't have Hardwick. No, I've got MP in there. Hardwick's a tough one. He's played forward a few weeks and was good.
Yeah.
But
That doesn't take anything away from naming him
Well,
a
I think
backline.
Impey's had the better season than Hardwick.
But is it Impey against Hardwick? Can you not find room for both?
Well, it's hard to put 2 back pockets from the same team in. Like it's a
One's a lockdown, whereas one's more of a runner generator of the
Hardwick's
offense.
style of player, I feel like, is one of those. Like he's an
never gets
unsung
picked.
hero. Like it's just not a on an all-Australian team, as good as he is and as important as he would be to Hawthorn, it's hard to recognise those guys against other players that provide so much from an attacking sense as well. And
I would agree, but I think his positional switch of forward helps. He's won us games when he's gone forward.
Yeah.
He had that game where he kicked 4 goals in the last quarter, just beautiful set shot. So I think that's helped him because...
Well, that was the St Kilda game. You're up by 7 goals,
Yeah.
bullying them a marvel. It's not,
But I think that helps show his skill a bit more than just lockdown
maybe
defender.
it's a bench. Maybe he gets in on the bench.
Maybe
as a
it's
bit of
very
utility.
hard. I'm glad the AFL's finally making the B team. So
Are
they're
they?
going to do
Technically, yeah.
they're going to do a squad of 46, and then the other team will be more of a team than just you made the squad,
Okay.
which
I
is
like
what it
that.
should have always been. Like instead of Hugh McCluggage just made the 44 times. Just say he's been all Australian B team.
Yeah, second team honours. It's,
Nothing wrong with being the 3rd to 6th best player in a
exactly.
position.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, you've been big on that for a while, Dean.
Yes.
Any last takes? I had Colonel in there. Were you happy with that selection, or you don't?
I think again, he's probably the opposite to Blake Hardwick, where his stats are so overbearing, and the fact he's going to win a Coleman, and even though I agree with the lens that he's he bullies the poor teams and he likes to pad up his goals, and I mean you could argue Sydney do that a bit as a team almost, and Kerno's I feel like his past Colemans as well. You look at who he's kicked his goals against; it's always been West Coast and North, and so I agree with that. And I wouldn't be disappointed to not see him make it because I really don't think he's been that good. But it's also very hard to have a Coleman medalist and say, he's going to kick. He's at 62 goals now, so it's hard to leave him out.
Jai Amos has also had a very good year. He's on 58 goals. He could come close to winning the Coleman if he has another big week.
Yep.
he's probably stiff, but I think you go with Tracy over him. Just offers a bit more than
Tracy
Amos.
definitely over Amos. I think the argument will be Amos versus Curnow and Gunston. I think that's the conversation.
Yeah, I think Gunston would potentially have won the Coleman if he played all those games that he missed. And I do agree with you, Dean. Like, I think what he offers for Hawthorn structurally as well, super important for them. And I just think, he's a better player. He's a better player than what Amos and King and even Logan Morris is pretty stiff. He could be in there. There's every chance if he has another big week. Yeah, the forwards are tough. Like, you don't really know who's a lock. I mean, you probably have Nick Watson in the pocket.
I think Watson and Tracy are the two locks, to be honest, and then Pickett as well.
Yeah.
The other one as well, who I think could potentially take this. So the Murphy Reid hype's definitely died down a bit.
Not all Australian for me.
I agree, and I
never was as well.
I probably would have got swept away at one stage, but his last 6 to 8 weeks haven't really done enough.
It hasn't died down by the commentators, though. They speak about him like he's the next Dacos. Every time he gets the ball.
He could be, but I just don't think it's an all-Australian season.
I think Shea Bolton's having an all-Australian
season.
season.
I wanted to see if I could put Bolton in there.
He's the one for me. I love watching him play, and he's like ripping games up, and he's just like a quiet match winner, very soft-spoken, and I guess the pressure of the trades probably died down, and he's having a quietly incredible year.
I was close to putting him in over Baz.
There was an interesting poll on our keeper group chat: Bolton or Isaac Rankin? Because I'm strong Shea Bolton on that.
Well, I did a little video just comparing them with one of the fan, and he had Rankin. I think Rankin, it's hard. Like, he's had obviously the suspension last year. He had a poor first half of the year. He's got going the last few weeks, and now hopefully he's ready for finals.
Probably got the greatest ceiling, Rankin.
Maybe
not necessarily.
I just think Bolton's I think Rankin gets a little bit overrated, to be honest. He's never really performed in big games yet. Not that he's really played in them, but there's not many signature ranking games that I can remember. Obviously, he had the monster game against Richmond last week, but and I'm not even that convinced about his output as a midfielder. Like, I think he'd be quite taggable as well. I just think Bolton's sort of X factor from the middle as a forward, and the freakish stuff that he can do. He can fly for marks. I don't know. I think Bolton's a seriously underrated player, and he's always been one of my favourite players to watch as well.
I think it's a great comparison. Like, I'm not sure exactly where you go.
It's a real 50-50.
Very similar players, both, forward half, but play in the midfield as well. I mean, the way Rankin played against Freo, they were both arguably the two best players on the ground, to be honest. The way Rankin played, he was more the traditional midfielder, getting back and D50, being a bit of a distributor, which you wouldn't really say with
exactly.
Bolton.
But I don't think that's where you want Rankin either, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not. You want him in the forward half, to be honest. But yeah, I think it's a great comparison, and they've both had pretty good seasons, especially in the back half. But unfortunately, I just don't have space for them. I don't have space for either of them. I think I'd rather a Heaney who's had a more consistent season, and then I'd rather all those other midfielders that are higher in the coaches' votes as well.
Yep,
that's tough.
So we'll put it out on the socials. We'll have to, maybe we can do some polls for the fans.
Maybe we can do some polls
and see who gets the split.
Yeah, we'll go to from the fans, just a couple. Guess who's back? Eden is back in the comments. So he says, wow, finally made it back. Sad as the last season. Wow. I remember days of being the 100th follower.
Oh, yeah.
Eden was the 100th follower on Instagram, despite being a regular in the comments, regular in the...
Just wouldn't get that follow.
We had to force him almost to follow the page. And then he's hit us with a couple of tough questions about the AFLW, and honestly, I don't really know what's going on here. So, wondering with Lauren Bella injury, how will it move the magnets around? That's part one. Part two, does it mean Poppy Schultz goes into the middle to support Jess Good? She's only in her second year. Any thoughts?
Not sure. Is Eden an avid follower of the W?
Well, he's asked questions about the AFLW before. Obviously, we had... Remember her name?
No, but it was season 1.
It was season 2, maybe, I think it was.
1 or 2.
Yeah, he asked a question about one of the AFLW players. And
maybe when the AFL men's season's finished, we'll have a better idea.
Yeah. Unofficial insiders, you guys have really inspired Bailey and I to continue our podcast. You'll all be missed. It's very nice, but we're not dead. We're still here.
A lot of feedback on the podcast ending I've had this week. A lot of people upset. They've had us in their routines. They think we're peaking now this season. So, yeah, it is a shame.
Run a few podcasts.
Yeah,
next
look,
year as well.
Look, never say never. The podcast may return. It may be different. I don't know. Just want to see what it looks like without it. See if we can keep the page going. See what I can do. But if I feel like let's do a podcast again, then maybe we'll do it. And it might not be the end, but thank you to the Unofficial Insiders. I hope you guys are enjoying your podcasts. Obviously, starting a podcast is always the hardest thing to do, and then continuing to do it and being consistent is obviously quite difficult as well. So, keep it up. And Stiglitz, do you guys find it weird that the Blues and Dogs are both playing for a draw at the end? Well, we touched on it with Carlton.
Happy birthday to him as well. Today,
yes. Benji. Happy birthday, mate. I don't think the Dogs were playing for a draw. I mean, maybe they were. Maybe Eddie Richards purposely gave away that free kick.
No, the Dogs definitely weren't.
Yeah, because they... Well, where would they finish if they?
That's
won
not what
that
he
game?
means. So he means.
Was there no Bontempelli in either All-Australian team?
No, we both had him.
Oh,
yeah.
Also,
he just gets missed.
Yeah,
yeah, just
but
gets
he's both. He's in there.
Yeah, it's the same as when they put the Brownlow votes in; they just miss him.
Yeah,
yeah. Just to clarify, last week shouted out my mum for providing the carousel cake. It was actually Simi,
really,
Benji's mum, my auntie. So yeah,
thank you very much, Simi. I appreciate it. It was a very nice touch and went down well as well. It was a great
did
cake.
it?
Yeah. Any leftovers?
There might be like a little bit in the freezer.
I'm
but
joking.
That was good.
Carousel cake is amazing though.
Yeah,
Especially the like icing bit.
Yeah,
The gel.
yeah, it's good
Yes.
stuff.
Gina didn't get in on from the fans, did she?
No, she didn't.
No,
Did she have
but
a question?
She did, maybe a bit hesitant to ask, but she's a big proponent of the draw song.
Oh,
So I think she's found her niche in footy after being with me all this time. She loves the draw song and can't get over the fact that when there's a draw, nothing plays.
I'm with her on that, and the draw song's amazing.
It would be so funny.
I was actually speaking to a friend of mine about it on Saturday night as well, and I think it has to come back.
It's got legs.
Yeah,
just,
it does.
just
It does.
Why not play it at the ground? Like, it's funny. Like,
yeah.
it's,
It's such a deflating feeling.
yeah,
The
it's
draw.
so weird.
It's so
It's just
hollow.
the ground's empty. Like, it's just like everyone just races out, and like it is strange.
Was it a big queue to get out again, like last time?
Not as much as last time. Last time was bad. But only 75,000 for Hawthorn Collingwood
Saturday night
this late
game
in the
times,
season.
Pretty big.
Yeah, 75,000 is pretty good. And
I think you'd want 85.
if you have it on
Maybe
a
it's a big
better
ask.
time, you'll probably get more. Saturday nights.
Yeah, like a 4:30 twilight game.
Exactly.
even a
You reckon you
1:15.
get more? 4:30?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. It's
Yeah.
Saturday night, people have, like, there's birthdays,
Yeah,
there's plans.
no,
like,
you
it's,
are right.
It's more difficult. So
We'll get to the tips now. An incredible round, obviously assisted by the 2 draws. But in our league, there were 42 people that got 9 out of 9 this week. And pumping up my own tyres,
I was one of them.
were you one of them? Dean, were you one of them?
I was.
So all 3, 27 out of 27 over here. I was 3rd of the round. I got a margin of 1. And I'm creeping up to the top 5. I'm creeping up to get my
It's
own
unbelievable.
prizes.
Yeah.
So I'm 6th. Still a way to go. And we are counting finals. So
You're not known
that
for your
helps.
tipping.
No, I had one good year, 2021. I was in
I
the
don't
top
recall.
100 actually at some point in 2021.
Wow.
Because I was just tipping Melbourne and we obviously winning a lot. But we'll go to. I'm not going to shout out everyone who got the tips, but I'll just name the 3 people that got a margin of 1. So that was Nadav, Matna, and myself.
Way to shout out yourself.
And then looking at the totals, we got James, who's first. Now I don't even know who James is.
I don't know who James
So
is
James,
either.
if you're listening to the podcast,
Reveal yourself.
If
Send
you
us a
want,
message.
yeah. Otherwise, you won't get the prize.
yeah, send us a message so we're familiar with yourself.
Do we know what the prize is or no?
The prize is I've written it
We
down
do, yeah,
somewhere.
we-
Did I?
Top 3.
Did I? I don't know. I don't have it
You
written down
did.
here, but I think it could be a jumper, like a D&T jumper, or
I thought
maybe
a
something that
mug.
Harry signed.
I thought that
Or
was 2 and
maybe a
3,
mug.
and then the Harry
actually don't
signed
remember.
jersey at
Oh.
1.
I
Don't want to
wanna-
make any false promises.
Yeah, I don't
on
want
the
to say
mic.
something that I promised and it's incorrect. So it's something like that.
But we do have till the end of finals,
Yeah, until
obviously.
the finals. Yes. So Daniel Hyman is second. So they're both on 148. And we've got Jake F on 147. Dos wants the tip on 147. And then there's a bit of a gap to fifth in Sonny Allergen, who's on 145.
Dossa Carp had a 4-point lead at one stage.
He's
He's
10th
fell
now.
off.
Oh, he's 10th.
Yeah.
You know,
that is a big
I
drop.
haven't heard from him, which is how you know he's dropped off, because he was very loud about his tipping and cheering on his tipping early in the year. But I guess if you tip St Kilda too often, that's probably what happens.
Well, let's get to the tips. We'll start with St Kilda on a Thursday night against Gold Coast, which is...
It was weird without Thursday night footy last week.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a big Saturday of footy. I didn't even watch much of it, but the only team that really matters here is actually Melbourne, because St Kilda can't really go... Well, they might drop a spot, but Melbourne, we're hoping Gold Coast lose to keep that pick 5, which they will not be using on Bailey Humphrey. So, tips for the game?
Just checking, Gold Coast aren't in the top 10, so St Kilda can beat them. So St Kilda.
St Kilda.
Yeah, I'll go the Saints. They'll have a big finish, sure. Collingwood versus Brisbane. Big game for Brisbane. Collingwood not so much. They can't move, can they?
Yeah. So, well, we can, but...
You can wear white shorts against the Dogs.
Exactly, at the same oval. So that means I'll be tipping Brisbane, hoping that we make the correct decision to rest, hopefully at least 7 players, honestly.
Yeah, you'd expect Brisbane to win this game. They have a top 3 spot, which, as I said before, is important if they want to play Sydney rather than Freo. Dean?
Brisbane.
Carlton versus Fremantle on Saturday at 1:15. Carlton playing to not travel against Adelaide. Do they beat Freo at home? Freo not playing for anything.
It's a compromise game for Fremantle.
Yeah.
You'd have to think they're going to rest at least 4 or 5 guys.
It's an interesting one, though, because they have the week off anyway. So it's a big gap.
Yeah.
Pending they win a quali.
It's true.
Then by the prelim, you've had a few players who have played one game in 5 weeks.
But there's arguments to both sides as well.
Of course.
And you can do match sims, and there are things you can do to keep guys fresh. And at the end of the day, you don't want them getting injured in a dead rubber. So,
I'd be shocked if Hayden Young's out there.
I'll still tip Freo though.
Yeah,
I think it's a dead
I think
over
they'll
Carlton.
win.
I'll tip Freo too.
These Dogs. Shout out to my Year 11 legal class. Inside joke. D's for me. I think they have more to play
MCG.
for. MCG. Bont, I don't know if he'll get up for this game. Dean, obviously you'd like him to for your fantasy grand final.
Yes. Well, I didn't touch on that earlier, but that is the other reason I don't like this.
It hasn't affected you though. You've
It hasn't, other than the Bont. And this week, I don't think it's going to affect either me or Harry, which is just luck. But I don't like when players rest because of fantasy.
Yeah.
And I think when you have 1 week off for the whole competition at the end of the year, I think that makes it much more even at the end of the year in terms of integrity and fairness, like you said.
Yeah.
Tips?
But I don't want to come off as like fantasy based.
Yeah.
I'll tip
It's
Melbourne.
important.
Yeah, I'll tip Melbourne. It's hard to tip Dogs at the moment.
Geelong, Richmond, Geelong.
Geelong.
Yeah, Geelong.
Adelaide, Giants.
Adelaide.
Why does it say?
Yeah, Adelaide for me.
I think the only interesting thing in that game will be the margin chase,
Now-
potentially.
for Adelaide.
Yeah,
The,
with
this-
percentage.
I could see the Giants winning this.
Same.
I think that's what they do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not ruling them out at all. I think Adelaide, they're led by Rankin and Dawson, and their other players
I agree.
fell off. Wayne Miller is
back.
potentially back. That's a
Yeah.
huge in. He's crucial for them, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants just pull this one away.
No, I'm not a big believer in Adelaide, but I just think this should be an easy one.
Yeah. All
I
right.
think GWS are
Let's-
packed up.
Let's smash through these. Essendon, Port. Do Essendon get a win?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, true. Sorry. I normally just
Oh,
auto
they
tip
could.
against them.
Yeah.
I'll
I'll tip Port, but is Butters going to play?
No, I
not-
doubt
Nah,
it.
surely not. 12.
Port.
Actually,
12-20.
I'll,
That's
I'll
really
actually
good.
I'll take Essendon.
All right.
They were good last week. Oh, actually, no, Port, because if Essendon win, they lose pick 1, actually.
So I got
Yeah,
my
Port,
boot off
Port.
today after 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Butters, if he played, would be 6 weeks
Jeez.
playing like an
Yeah.
AFL game, which is crazy. Obviously, I'm not an AFL athlete, but moving on. Yeah, Port for me.
Sydney North. Now, obviously, there's a lot going on at the moment with Sydney. So, Who really knows?
Gee, the AFL's lucky they're not on Thursday.
You can see
Yeah.
they've already taken the betting odds down as well because no one knows what's going to happen with those
Yeah,
players.
wow. There you go.
Yeah, look at that.
They are lucky
I
this
don't know.
is a Sunday
I don't
game.
really know what to tip here. And now I have to actually make proper tips
Um,
and maybe tip some upsets
There's
as well.
Harry out as well for North.
Yeah,
They're
no
always
Harry,
up
no
against
North.
it, so
I
Sydney.
almost don't know. I'm going to change this tip potentially as well, but when we get closer to the game,
I'm going Swans.
pending selections. But for now, I'll tip Sydney.
and then Hawthorn, West Coast at the
Did
end.
you tip, Dean?
Yeah, I said Sydney.
Oh, Sydney. Sorry.
I said no Harry, no North.
West Coast Hawthorn last game of the year at 7:20. Unlucky, Dean.
Very late. Hopefully the fantasy granny's all wrapped up and I can enjoy this one. Hawthorn.
Hawthorn.
Hawks for me. Yeah, but that'll do for the home and away season. Keen to get into some finals. Keen to see some wildcard games. Hopefully the D's aren't playing in that wildcard game. But Shosti, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Of course.
Good luck to anyone in
always
a
a lot of fun.
fantasy granny at the back
Yep.
end of this year.
Yep.
Not Dean, even though he's had plenty of luck already getting to the grand final. But yeah, Shosti, thanks for coming. Probably have you on by the time season ends. We
Yeah.
might need you again. Cause
Yeah, no,
It's great. Always
fine.
very analytical.
And
Yeah.
it's big shoes to fill with Brody gone, and hopefully he's tearing it up over there in America. But
Yeah.
You reckon Brody's gotten to this point of the
No,
podcast?
no.
yeah.
He might listen, but not at this point.
We'll see.
See you
If he
later. See you
is,
next week.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Peace.